So, Gabe Davis is back in Buffalo. But let's be real, it's not some groundbreaking, earth-shaking headline. In fact, it's not even close to that. Davis is back, yeah, but he's not back to be the savior of the offense. He's not coming in to suddenly be a top target for Josh Allen. No, Gabe Davis is back in the most low-key, non-dramatic way possible, the practice squad. And honestly, that's exactly where he should be. Now, before some of you start lighting up the comments about how Gabe Davis once had 4 touchdowns in a playoff game, or how he stretches the field like no one else, let's take a deep breath and talk about what this move actually means. Not what people want it to mean, but what it really is. This is wide receiver number 9. Not number 2, not even number 4. This is the Bills going out and grabbing a veteran to fix some glaring hole in the offense. It's a depth move, plain and simple. Gabe Davis, once a starter, now a support piece. A guy recovering from a knee injury who got released after one underwhelming year in Jacksonville. A player with some chemistry with Josh Allen, sure, but whose limitations are still exactly what they've always been. Let's rewind the tape. Gabe Davis spent 4 seasons with the Bills after being drafted. There were flashes, big plays, deep shots, moments where he looked like a potential WR2. But in reality, those flashes were more like flickers. He struggled with separation. He never developed into a polished route runner. His yards after the catch? Pretty forgettable. And despite all the opportunity, he just never quite evolved into the reliable second option that this team needed behind Stephon Diggs. And yet, there he was, locked in as the WR2 on a team with championship aspirations. That was the frustrating part. Not that Gabe Davis didn't have value, but that he was being put in a role that didn't maximize his strengths or help the team thrive. He's always been more of a WR4 with WR2 opportunity. Big catch radius, good size, solid in scramble drills, useful in the play-action game, but not a guy you build your passing game around. So when the Bills let him walk this offseason, it felt like a natural and needed move. Jacksonville came calling with a decent contract, took a swing, and it didn't work out. Now, he's back in Buffalo, and some fans are acting like this is some sort of major reunion arc. But folks, this isn't a hero's return. This is a contingency plan. And here's where people get it twisted. Being on the practice squad doesn't mean you're about to be some secret weapon. The practice squad today is not what it was 10 years ago. This isn't just a bunch of undrafted rookies grinding for a shot. Teams can carry up to 17 players. 6 of them can be veterans. These are guys with real experience who can step in when needed, not just prospects developing in the background. So no, Gabe Davis being on the practice squad doesn't mean Keon Coleman is struggling. It doesn't mean the coaches are panicking about Josh Palmer. It doesn't mean they're second-guessing their wide receiver room. It means they had a spot, Davis was healthy, and they saw value in having someone with experience and familiarity in the system available if they need him. And that's the key word here, if. If there's an injury, if someone underperforms, if you need a guy who knows the playbook and can step in without a huge learning curve, Gabe Davis is now in the building. That's it. No overreactions needed. Same thing with Jordan Poyer. Another familiar name that some fans overhyped when he landed on the practice squad. These are experienced players who aren't being brought in to carry the team. They're insurance policies. If the moment comes, they're ready. And that's a good thing. Because let's not forget how many times this team has been scrambling mid-season. Remember trading for Kelvin Benjamin? Bringing back A.J. Klein in an emergency? Giving up draft picks just to plug short-term gaps? Wouldn't it have been nice to have a reliable, experienced option waiting in the wings? That's what this is. It's about preparation, not panic. Now, could Gabe Davis eventually get called up to the active roster? Sure. We've seen it happen before. Could he make a key play down the stretch? Absolutely. He's done in the past. But right now, today, as we stand in early September, this move is nothing more than what it is, a low-risk, depth-focused end-of-roster addition. And for those wondering about roster math, the Bills have 6 wide receivers on the active roster, and now 3 on the practice squad. 9 total. That's not unusual, especially this time of year. And with one of those spots opening up thanks to Dwayne Carter going on injured reserve, there's a natural path for Jordan Phillips to be elevated and Gabe Davis to slide into the practice squad slot. No roster gymnastics. No drama. Just straightforward depth management. Of course, the logistics matter too. With Gabe Davis being a veteran, one of the Bills' 6 eligible veteran practice squad spots gets used. So if Davis is in, someone else is out. Early signs point to Jordan Phillips potentially making the jump to the active roster, which clears his vet spot for Davis. We'll see how it shakes out officially, but the point is, the Bills are operating within the system. Nothing wild here. And look, I get it. The name Gabe Davis still sparks something in Bills fans. The highs were really high. That playoff game against Kansas City is one of the all-time great performances in team history. For touchdowns on the biggest stage, that's the kind of stuff that sticks with you. But that doesn't erase the full picture. It doesn't erase the inconsistency, the missed opportunities, the frustrating routes, the drive-killing drops. Gabe Davis has always been a boom or bust player, and now that boom is more memory than expectation. So yes, he's back, but in the most low-leverage way possible. If anything, it's smart business by the Bills. You get an experienced, motivated player recovering from injury, who knows the system, who's not going to shake the locker room or demand a bigger role, and who might still have a big moment left in him if called upon. You stash him on the practice squad. No harm, no risk. And if nothing else, it sends a message about how the Bills are handling this transition period. You lose Stephon Diggs. You bring in Keon Coleman. You give Khalil Shakir more opportunity. You add Josh Palmer. You're reshaping the wide receiver room, but you're not leaving yourself vulnerable. You're building from the ground up, but you're also keeping a safety net. That's smart. That's how good teams operate. They don't just bet on the future. They insulate it. And for a team with Josh Allen in his prime, that's the kind of balance you need. Build your next core, but make sure you've got veterans in place who can help if things go sideways. You want Allen to be more efficient? Start by making sure his top targets are catching the ball. And that's not just on them. Some of it's on Allen, some of it's on the scheme, some of it's on play design. But whatever the reasons were last year, they don't matter anymore. The time for growing pains is over. It's go time. So yes, Gabe Davis is back. But don't let that distract you from the real story here. The Bills are reloading. They're evolving. And they know exactly where they need to improve if they want to finally break through that AFC ceiling. Davis is part of the insurance plan, not the blueprint. The growth of this team depends on guys like Kincaid and Coleman stepping up, Allen being sharper with the deep ball, and the whole offense clicking on another level. And trust me, we're just getting started. Defense, special teams, more growth areas to hit. But for now, that's the offensive picture heading into 2025, and Gabe Davis, well, he's just along for the ride. Now, shifting over to the other side of the ball, let's talk about where the defense needs to level up in 2025. Because look, for all the praise this Bills team gets, and rightly so, for being consistent, well-coached, and playoff-bound year after year, there are cracks in the armor that became very visible last season. And I'm not just talking about the injuries, which were a real problem. I'm talking about situational football. I'm talking about the stuff that separates the elite from the good, and the Bills simply weren't elite in the moments that mattered most. Let's start with third downs because I'm still shaking my head at how bad this team was in that area. The Buffalo Bills ranked 29th in the league last season in third down defense. That's bottom 5. That's the kind of stat you'd expect from a rebuilding team, not from a squad that went 13-4 and made a deep playoff run. And what's even more mind-blowing is how far they fell in that category in such a short amount of time. Just 2 seasons ago, this was a top 8 third down defense. In 2021, they were near the top of every major metric on that side of the ball. They were a shutdown unit. And then suddenly, they just couldn't get off the field. Why? Well, part of it is talent. They weren't as deep last year. They were beat up. Matt Milano went down early, and you don't just replace a player like that. Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer, 2 veterans who have been the soul of this defense for years, weren't the same. Whether it was age, injury, or both, they just didn't have the same juice. And then Daquan Jones and Greg Rousseau were basically the only guys on the entire defense who didn't miss time. That's a problem. You can't have that kind of inconsistency on defense and expect to win in high-leverage moments. But beyond the injuries, there was also just a lack of execution and, at times, a lack of identity. It felt like this defense wasn't sure what it wanted to be. And when you're facing elite quarterbacks, tight ends who can shred zone coverage, and backs who can kill you on check downs, you've got to have a clear plan and the horses to execute it. The Bills didn't have either consistently enough. And that's where Sean McDermott and his staff need to be better this year. Because make no mistake, McDermott is wearing the defensive coordinator hat now. He's not just the head coach. This is his baby. He's calling the plays, making the adjustments, setting the tone. And with that comes pressure. He can't just point the finger at Leslie Frazier anymore. This is a show now. And while there were some strong moments in 2024, there were way too many lapses, especially on third downs and in the red zone. Speaking of the red zone, let's talk about that for a second. Because while it wasn't as disastrous as third down defense, it still wasn't good. The Bills finished 16th in red zone defense. That's middle of the pack. It's not the end of the world, but when you consider how dominant they were in this category just a couple seasons ago, it paints a picture of a unit trending in the wrong direction. In 2021, they were 6th. In 2022, they were 2nd. That's elite. And now they're hanging out in the teens. That's not where a contending team should be. And here's the kicker. This defense is designed specifically to win in the red zone. That's the philosophy. Bend but don't break. Make teams go on long, methodical drives. Trust that eventually they'll make a mistake or you'll tighten the screws and get the stop. That's what this entire scheme is built on. But if you're giving up touchdowns over 57% of the time that teams get inside your 20, then your whole philosophy collapses. You're not forcing field goals. You're not creating turnovers. You're just letting teams walk into the end zone. And you can't win that way, not consistently, and certainly not in January. So what's the path forward? Well, it starts with being healthier. And yeah, I know, that sounds like a cop-out. Every team wants to stay healthy. Every fan base says, well, if we had our guys, things would have been different. But for the Bills, that's actually true. This defense, when fully intact, still has elite potential. You're talking about a unit that can roll out Matt Milano, Ed Oliver, Greg Rousseau, Terrell Bernard, Taron Johnson, Christian Benford, Kyer Elam, Micah Hyde, Taylor Rapp, and now a host of young reinforcements like Javon Solomon and Cole Bishop. That's a lot of talent, especially when you factor in the leadership of McDermott and the experience of guys like Rasul Douglas and A.J. Epineza. And the Bills didn't just sit back and hope for better injury luck. They went out and addressed the depth. They brought in guys with starting experience. They spent draft capital on positions of need. They made sure that if something goes sideways again, they won't be as thin as they were last year. That's smart team building. But depth only matters if the frontline talent delivers. That's where the pressure is this year. If Tre'Davious White really does make it back to 100%, that's a game changer. If Milano looks like himself again, that's huge. If Ed Oliver builds on his breakout season, you suddenly have a defensive line that can create pressure without blitzing. And that's where everything starts. Pressure creates mistakes. Mistakes lead to turnovers. And turnovers are the lifeblood of this defense. But beyond the individuals, the overall cohesion of this defense has to improve. Too often last year, there were coverage busts, late communication, and mismatches that teams exploited over and over again. You can't be elite when you're giving up easy conversions on third and long. You can't claim to be a top defense when you're allowing teams to score touchdowns in the red zone at a higher than average rate. Situational football is where games are won, especially in the playoffs. The Bills have to be better there. No excuses, because the window doesn't stay open forever. Before we dive back in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest Buffalo Bills updates straight to your screen. And hey, don't hold back. Let us know your thoughts on today's news down in the comments. Trent Williams, long considered one of the premier offensive linemen in the NFL, has reportedly arrived at the Buffalo Bills, sparking an unprecedented level of excitement among fans, analysts, and players alike. Known for his dominant play, exceptional strength, and relentless drive, Williams' rumored addition to the Bills has generated a whirlwind of speculation about how this could transform the team's offensive line into something almost mythical. Sources close to the organization suggest that coaches have been quietly discussing adjustments to the lineup, envisioning Williams as the anchor who could stabilize and elevate the entire unit. Conversations in sports media circles have intensified, with commentators debating whether the Bills' line could now rival some of the most feared offensive lines in recent NFL history. The buzz isn't limited to tactical discussions. Social media platforms are lighting up with fan reactions, memes, and intense debates about how this signing could influence the team's prospects for a Super Bowl run. Observers note that Williams' presence could change the dynamic in the locker room as well, offering both veteran leadership and a new sense of confidence to younger linemen who may have struggled under previous configurations. Rumors even suggest that his influence might extend beyond the line of scrimmage, potentially improving quarterback protection schemes, opening up run lanes, and giving the offense a strategic edge previously unseen in Buffalo. Analysts are dissecting his historical performance, pointing to seasons in which his pass-blocking efficiency and run-game prowess reached peak levels, speculating that similar results could be imminent. There is also a growing narrative that Williams' rumored arrival could attract other free agents, as players often gravitate toward teams boasting elite linemen. While nothing is confirmed, the undercurrent of expectation is palpable, creating a story that has become almost impossible to ignore, as if the mere possibility of Williams in a Bills uniform is enough to elevate the team's profile instantly across the league. The rumor mill continues to churn, fueled by a combination of performance statistics, insider chatter, and the undeniable magnetism of a player whose career has been defined by excellence and resilience. Every report seems to layer additional excitement onto the speculation, making it clear that the idea of Trent Williams joining the Bills is more than just a simple personnel move. It is becoming a cultural moment for the franchise. Fans are reportedly preparing for a shift in how the offensive line is discussed, anticipating that every play could carry the signature impact of Williams' rumored presence. Coaches are described as recalibrating strategies in anticipation, and league analysts are already projecting new possibilities for Buffalo season outcomes. The intensity of these rumors, combined with the historical significance of Williams' career, ensures that the story will dominate headlines, social feeds, and fan conversations alike. Discussions surrounding his arrival are touching every corner of NFL media, creating a narrative that feels both inevitable and transformative. Speculation about how Trent Williams' presence could redefine the Bills' offensive line continues to grow, with insiders claiming that his rumored arrival would not only solidify the line, but also change the very identity of Buffalo's offense. Analysts suggest that Williams, known for his imposing size, technique, and unparalleled ability to neutralize elite pass rushers, could provide a level of consistency that the Bills have lacked in recent seasons. The rumor has sparked a series of debates about how quickly his integration into the team could occur, with some proposing immediate changes to the starting lineup to maximize his impact. Observers are discussing the potential ripple effects on other players, including the possibility that younger linemen will experience accelerated development under his mentorship, as Williams has historically been a teacher as well as a performer. There is a growing sentiment among fans that the Bills may now have one of the most fearsome offensive lines in the league, capable of protecting the quarterback with near-perfect efficiency while simultaneously creating running lanes that challenge even the best defenses. Coaches, according to insider chatter, are reportedly envisioning innovative schemes that leverage Williams' ability to dominate one-on-one matchups, which could open up previously untapped opportunities in both passing and running plays. Social media has become a frenzy of speculation, with fan accounts, sports pundits, and former players weighing in on what this potential acquisition could mean, ranging from playoff dominance to the psychological boost that comes from having a player of Williams' caliber on a roster. Even casual observers are being drawn into the narrative, captivated by the sheer audacity of a team potentially adding such a transformative figure to its lineup. Conversations in locker rooms and online forums alike suggest that the anticipation surrounding Williams' rumored signing has reached a fever pitch, with everyone from analysts to fans predicting immediate improvements in offensive production. Rumors also hint at behind-the-scenes negotiations, possible contract structures, and strategic incentives designed to ensure Williams' integration into the team is seamless and impactful. The chatter implies that Williams' arrival could alter how opposing defenses approach the Bills, forcing coordinators to rethink schemes in response to his sheer dominance at the line of scrimmage. The speculation has taken on a life of its own, creating an ecosystem of anticipation, analysis, and imagination where Williams' mere potential presence seems to redefine expectations for Buffalo's season. While unconfirmed, the rumors have the weight of plausibility, given Williams' reputation and recent movement patterns in the league, making this story one that sports media are following with relentless intensity. The ongoing buzz is indicative of how a single player, even in speculation, can reshape the entire perception of a team's capability and future prospects. Fans and analysts alike are caught in a swirl of excitement, uncertainty, and hope, each rumor adding layers to the narrative of a Buffalo offensive line potentially on the brink of transformation. The excitement surrounding Trent Williams' potential move to Buffalo has sparked a torrent of discussion regarding how his presence could transform the offensive line into one of the most formidable units in the NFL. Rumors indicate that coaches are anticipating a seismic shift in blocking schemes, with Williams possibly anchoring the left side, providing unmatched stability and leadership that could elevate the entire line's performance. Analysts are theorizing about the quantitative impact, suggesting that pressures allowed on the quarterback could drop significantly, while run-blocking efficiency may surge, fundamentally altering Buffalo's offensive dynamics. The media frenzy has created a feedback loop where every rumor generates speculation about further rumors, producing a climate of near-constant anticipation. Fans have been constructing hypothetical scenarios, from perfect protection packages to elite running schemes, imagining how Williams' abilities could redefine not just individual plays, but entire game plans. Analysts are also assessing how his arrival could impact team morale, suggesting that leadership qualities combined with elite talent may foster cohesion and resilience, both on the line and across the offense. Even casual observers have been drawn into the story, captivated by the idea that one player could shift perceptions so dramatically. Each report, whether based on insider sources or analytical projections, contributes to a growing consensus that Buffalo's offensive line could soon be a spectacle of skill, strategy, and strength, making the rumor of Williams' signing one of the most compelling narratives in recent NFL discourse. Insiders and analysts continue to speculate on the transformational potential of Trent Williams joining the Bills, suggesting that the offensive line, historically solid but inconsistent, could achieve a level of dominance rarely seen in professional football. The rumor mill has heightened interest in how Williams' skills, marked by agility, brute strength, and technical mastery, could interact with Buffalo's offensive system, creating a unit capable of controlling games from the line of scrimmage outward. Discussions in coaching circles reportedly include precise analyses of matchups, potential positional shifts, and innovative play designs, all aimed at maximizing Williams' impact while maintaining team balance. Fans have responded with a flurry of enthusiasm, posting simulations, breakdowns, and statistical projections on social media, generating an ecosystem where speculation fuels more speculation. Analysts point out that Williams' rumored presence could directly influence quarterback performance, reducing pressures and sacks while enhancing passing efficiency, simultaneously making the running game more effective by creating gaps that defenses struggle to close. Reports indicate that locker room morale may also benefit, as players often respond to the confidence exuded by elite teammates, with Williams' veteran leadership cited as a potential catalyst for cohesion. Rumors suggest that coaches may adjust training regimens to align with Williams' style, emphasizing techniques that leverage his strengths, ensuring that both individual and unit performance reach peak levels. Media coverage has intensified, with sports networks debating the implications for playoff positioning, divisional dominance, and even Super Bowl aspirations, turning a single personnel rumor into a story with far-reaching consequences. Social platforms reflect a mix of strategic analysis and fan excitement, with threads discussing how defenses might respond, including potential blitz schemes and coverage adjustments, highlighting the perceived magnitude of his impact. The speculation also touches on longer-term implications, including mentoring younger players and influencing drafting priorities, suggesting that Williams' integration could shape Buffalo's strategy for years. As the rumors circulates, every anecdotal detail, historical stat, and insider comment feeds into a growing narrative of expectation, making this more than a typical off-season story. It is becoming a saga where the idea of Trent Williams in a Bills uniform ignites imaginations, challenges assumptions, and captivates audiences across the league. Rumors surrounding Trent Williams' possible arrival in Buffalo have reached a crescendo, with sports media and fan forums awash in conjecture about how one player could reshape an entire franchise's offensive identity. Sources claim that Williams' rumored presence would serve as both a stabilizing and elevating force, potentially creating a human wall that transforms the offensive line into a nearly impenetrable barrier. Analysts have dissected his career performances, emphasizing how his combination of size, technique, and athleticism has historically neutralized even the most elite defenders, projecting that similar results could be imminent in Buffalo. Discussions in coaching circles reportedly focus on strategic innovations, with potential adjustments to blocking schemes, protection packages, and run pathways to exploit Williams' strengths while distributing responsibilities across the line. Fans have flooded social media with hypothetical scenarios, debating how the line might dominate in high-pressure situations, enhance quarterback confidence, and create explosive running opportunities, fueling an atmosphere of anticipation and excitement. Rumors even suggest that Williams' influence could extend beyond the line of scrimmage, with intangible benefits including leadership, mentorship, and a renewed culture of excellence, aspects that are often difficult to quantify but highly valued in team dynamics. Sports pundits continue to speculate about the psychological impact on opponents, who may alter defensive strategies simply in response to Williams' formidable presence, indicating that his rumored arrival could change how every game is played. Insiders hint at behind-the-scenes negotiations and subtle roster adjustments designed to maximize his integration, suggesting that the Bills are planning for a seamless incorporation of one of the league's most respected players. The story has become a near-daily topic of discussion, appearing across broadcasts, podcasts, and digital platforms, each rumor adding layers of intrigue and shaping expectations for the upcoming season. Analysts and fans alike are captivated by the potential for transformation, as speculation about Williams' arrival blends historical performance, technical evaluation, and sheer imagination into a narrative that is both electrifying and almost impossible to ignore. Every mention of his rumored signing seems to elevate the conversation around the Bills' offense, signaling a shift in perception that could have tangible effects on game planning, fan engagement, and league-wide respect. In short, the buzz surrounding Trent Williams is not merely about a player. It has evolved into a story of potential dominance, a cultural moment, and a captivating rumor that has captured the collective imagination of the NFL community in a way that few off-season stories ever have. That's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. See you in the next update.